Clink.
That's not a cheers, it's just a hit. You just hit his fucking cup.
Alright, what's up, guys? It's Jack with BTV. I'm here, we're doing the Guitar Players podcast special. Over here on my far right, we got Dylan Welsh. We got Anand Landon. We got Luke Boismier.
Dude, pretty close.
It's pretty close.
Is that it?
Boismier.
I was wondering how do you pronounce it?
However you want, honestly.
A bunch of local cats that are just killer. We're up here at Luke's house, chilling in the living room. I just wanted to dive in. Do you want to talk about some of the acts that you play with in the local area, Dylan?
Yeah, these days I'm keeping busy mostly on the pop country scene. Play with a guy named Dylan Jacobson, Megs McLean, Katie Wade. I do some non-pop-esque stuff too. Lowdown Drifters, Darren Jones, Ian Jones, not related.
Highly talented.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
You sure?
And then whatever other pickup gigs around town.
Yep. That's dope. Yeah. Anand, who are you playing with these days?
So my main two acts
I got a bunch.
per se. Yeah, some would say too much. So I have too many horror stories about that. But anyway, so my main two groups I'd say. So the first one is 48 Degrees North. You can listen to us on Spotify. Look us up on Apple Music and all your streaming platforms, plus YouTube and everything. And you can follow our Instagram at 48 Degrees Band and like us on Facebook. We are an alt-rock band. Some of our influences include stuff from like Bruno Mars to... oh my god, I'm already forgetting some band names. 1975. And kind of that kind of vibe, really. And it's alternative rock primarily, but we do like to go into kind of the folk genre. And if I'm writing tunes, kind of the more funky, jazzy, per se, things. And and we all met at UPS, University of Puget Sound, the college I went to, and it was really fun. And then...
Not a big deal.
And then the second group I'm in is a genre-bending group, as we like to call ourselves, 322, which is a modern jazz / hip-hop collective, you know. Think a lot of like Robert Glasper stuff or whatever. That group's a lot of fun. It's led by Brandon Lee Seeley. It's gone through many iterations, but this is the kind of iteration you want to see, and we've been gigging all around town and stuff. And in addition to that, I'm in a dance band called Candy Shop. We actually have a gig tomorrow at Dawson's Bar and Grill, if anyone's interested.
Dawson's in Tacoma, South Tacoma Way.
It's out Tacoma Way. And in addition to that, I am in a little septet as well for jazz. I play in some trios sometimes, and and then I'm trying to work on my own music at the moment. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep busy.
Shout out Brandon Lee Seeley in 322, Marcel, Joel, what up? Mm-hmm. Who's plays bass? Sean on bass. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Good memory.
Who are you gigging with these days?
So I'm pretty new to town, so I'm doing a lot less than you guys are. I play with a country band called Sons of Nashville right now. We probably do about 20, 30 gigs a year, not too much. And then I'm getting a metal band with Ilya and Josh Hoffman going right now.
Cool. Ilya's fucking
sick.
sick.
Dude, I'm so fucking stoked for that. We've been practicing about bi-weekly.
Josh has been telling me about that too. He's stoked.
Yeah, it's some hard shit.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
I've been having to work on my chops every day because trying to play like a 40-minute set of this shit is gonna be so rough.
What kind of influence are you guys taking?
We're doing more of like a technical death metal kind of thing. So think like Necrophagus or the Faceless or shit like that.
That's some real shit right there.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty heavy.
Yeah. So
yet to be named.
yeah.
Yeah. Besides that, mostly teach.
So we got metal guy, jazz guy, country guy. You got country jazz.
Country
jazz. You get with country guy, so I'm calling you country guy.
As a matter of economics.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
I mean, hey man,
I'm a country player to pay rent.
Right.
Yeah.
But
Not that I mind it.
That's a really.
I definitely like country, playing country. Those gigs are usually a ton of fun.
They are. Yeah, they can be a lot of
Very
fun.
low stress.
And people always dance. That's
Yeah.
my favorite. If the crowd's ever into it, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, they'll like dance, they'll slow dance. It's a very accessible form of music, you know, regardless of what people may think of it. So.
Yeah. Did you want to talk about your time at Berklee? Because I know there's a lot of people who are always asking about Berklee College of Music and what it can really do, and I know it's definitely opened up doors.
Yeah, man. Well, for me, I don't know. basically the experience that I got out of it was incredible, but a lot of it is they just sort of provide opportunities that you can choose to
Follow through
with or not. And so that's what I've found, and the kind of, because for me, I mean, I was constantly in and out of, I was never home. I was always running around town trying to take advantage of the stuff that was going on that they'd be putting on, and I got a really incredible experience out of it, and I loaded my class schedule up with as many classes as they would literally let me take.
Yeah.
And it, you know, I was killing myself over it, but I really, really got a lot out of it. I'd say one of the most important things I got out of it is when I got there, I didn't even realize that being a sideman was like a job that people did. You know, I knew about like Larry Carlton and all these like heavy session guys, right?
Yeah.
Kurt Russell was the sideman. Yeah, that's how he started out.
Yeah, but it's like I didn't even know
that was a career path.
Yeah, that there was just like regular dudes that weren't in like LA or New York.
Yeah.
That actually just like did that nobody knew about. You know, guys that you would never ever know about your whole life.
Some of the best players in the world, you'll never hear their name.
Right. And so I didn't realize that it's like, oh, like I could just like show up to a place and play guitar and be handed a check and go home. Like, what a concept. Yeah, no, I met a lot of guys, or a lot of the professors that's what they did.
Yeah.
And so when I got back here, I was able to really kind of hit the ground running with that, because suddenly it's like, oh, that's an option now.
Yeah.
And these were like solely because of the connections you formed, thanks to, you know, like everything you've been taught and stuff.
I didn't really take a lot of connections from Berkeley with me back here. I kind of had to start over when I got
But you
here.
learned how to make those connections being at Berkeley.
Yes.
And being there, that's part of what I hear everybody who goes to Berkeley say is you learn how to make connections, and people leave Berkeley and can go back to their own neighborhoods and take
So the funny thing about that is when I got there, I was kind of weirded out because every single person is like so nice, and like everybody wants to be your friend, right? You know, and so everyone's just like, oh my god. I know, but like in class or whatever, everyone's just like, oh man, you sound so killing, man. Do you have a card, man? Like we should play, you know? And what I learned, I remember being like alone in my apartment one night and thinking like, oh man, I'd like to like hang out with somebody, and going through this fucking Rolodex of like people that I knew and being like, I don't actually know any of these people well enough to like hang out with. And then I started realizing like, oh, I'm not getting called to do anything because like you don't call the random guy you met in the hallway that one time whose card you took. You call the guy that you're friends with. You know, and so it kind of changed it. Not that I didn't know about networking prior, but it kind of changed my perspective on networking a lot, you know?
Because everybody's got to eat, and everybody wants those gigs.
And everybody at this point knows that networking. It's almost a dirty word now.
It really is.
And so,
like content.
especially in an environment.
On your TikTok.
Content. Oh my god.
Especially in an environment like that where everybody knows it's like, we have to do this. It's like, I realized very quickly, it's like, oh, that's why everybody's so nice.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's all super well, not all of it, but a lot of it was very disingenuous.
A lot of it isn't disingenuous too, though. I mean,
There's a lot of people like you who show up thinking, you know, that these are the people you will be hanging out with forever and jamming or whatever the thought is. How far are they taking it? It's up to them.
And so that was kind of, luckily I kind of caught onto that like maybe halfway through the year, and so after that I started honing in a lot more on like guys that I like wanted to be friends with. And it ended up working out a lot better for me, and I did actually through that make some connections that ended up being useful to me in one way or another. Or I mean, again, it's like whether or not they were useful connections, I made a friend.
Right.
You know, that's.
And you guys were all in it together, getting through Berkeley.
Yeah.
Now, did you stay at Berkeley through your BA? No. Yeah, that's what I hear a lot too. It's a lot. That's a lot of work.
You take what you need and go.
a lot of
pretty
fucking
much.
money.
Well, I didn't necessarily even intend to leave. Actually, it's funny because my main double is viola. And so I got out there and I was studying guitar, and I brought my viola just cuz, but I didn't realize there was only like 12 viola majors in the whole school when I got there. So I was shedding guitar all day and in all my classes, but I was in the studio 3-4 times a week from the time I got there to the time I left playing viola.
I think I've seen a picture of you playing, actually.
Yeah, and so actually, funny enough, I left for circumstances that were not necessarily of my control or choosing.
Right.
And it was funny because when I before I left, I literally had the paperwork filled out to change my major, and my plan was to finish out and then move to New York and play viola.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I ended up having some stuff go south at home and needing to come home, and I was really, really bitter about it for a long time.
Yeah.
But it ended up working out because honestly, I kind of hate playing viola, and I really love to play guitar. And so,
No offense to all the viola players.
yeah, no, I mean, again,
You'll find your
But kind of stay in your lane.
yeah, I like doing it. I like doing it because I felt useful. You know, I stopped I mean, my phone was ringing off the hook. I stopped advertising.
Works,
it, you know,
yeah.
and so, but it ended up working out that I came back.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
Because my life would have looked a lot different.
That's cool.
Is it like a not necessarily toxic? That's way too harsh of a word. But is there a certain level, would you say, of competitiveness in Berkeley, despite the genuine aspect of the school?
Well,
despite
yeah.
what things have previously been said.
They really foster a super collaborative environment. They make the different departments and students from different departments collaborate with each other, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But the fact of the matter is, and this is something that I'd been warned about but didn't believe, there's no work in Boston. There's no gigs. All the clubs are gone.
Yeah, I remember you telling us that when we were at that one blues jam session.
Yeah, they're gone. And so as a result, you could be, because I entered with good, they like, once you get there, they like rate you. Basically, they give you like a numerical rating to determine like what ensembles you can get into and what's right for the level.
Yeah.
And I scored, when I got there, I scored on par with the average fourth semester student. So I got good scores. But the fact of the matter is there's so little work. It's only the guys that are in like the top
tier,
echelon that are gonna get any of it.
Yeah. Even if it's not a gig that needs someone playing that.
Can I chime in?
Yeah.
So my sister actually went to Berkeley too.
Really?
She finished her whole 4 years. And the funny thing is, she was telling me her stories about people that were really talented, stayed for the first couple of years, and basically everyone who's made a career for themselves never really stayed. And everyone that did and did end up staying, they're actually having trouble making music now.
Well, it's funny, man. Yeah.
You gotta pick a spot to get out.
What do they call it when you get out? Berkeley funk. You don't want to play music anymore. Yeah.
Well, that's actually, it's funny because it's a double-edged phrase because that also refers to like that really now kind of brand of like funk fusion that like all the like wannabe jazz guys are doing.
Yeah. In Atlanta,
No.
they called it trap jazz.
Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I think it's just vomited a little bit.
It's very interesting, like how you mentioned that you didn't stay the whole time.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
I don't know, people got better things to do.
Yeah.
Well,
It was out of your control, but at this point, I mean, I look up to you as someone who is fairly successful in what you do, and you've had
it worked
you've
out.
had a good launching point, at least coming out of Berkeley, going into what you have going for you now.
It really worked out, and because I had friends that are successful now that stayed, but that's largely because they had scholarships and were able to, so why not?
Yeah.
But a lot of it, one of my favorite teacher I had out there was this guy named Dave Tronzo, and he put it to me really well. One of my favorite things he said was, it's like, is your schoolwork distracting you from practicing and getting better? Well, then fucking drop out.
Yeah.
Because that's what matters. Because literally, like...
He told you that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because literally I know so many guys that got out there that like got straight A's by doing basically the bare minimum to get straight A's, and then got out and were just kind of mediocre and couldn't really get any work.
You can be really good at school without being good at your instrument.
Exactly. And that was so many of the guys were either that or the opposite that I met that I was out there.
Really?
Yeah, because they were like, really
We had
bad.
quite a few of those in Atlanta.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Really bad academics, but incredible musicians. And they like you said, they got there, got what they needed to get out of it, and then bailed, and are doing really well now. So, Say what you will. But
Transitioning, you did go to Atlanta, like you
Yeah,
mentioned,
Atlanta Institute of
Atlanta
Music down there.
Institute of Music.
Duluth, Georgia.
And what were you just studying guitar?
I was studying bass there. Yeah.
Because you also play six string, right?
Yeah.
Do you play upright as well? Or?
I did a little bit of upright when I was, I think, 18 years old, and it physically pained me to practice the instrument for more than 15 minutes. I studied for a year, and I never got out of technique in a fucking year because I never wanted to practice. So upright's not going to be my gig.
It's a tough instrument.
Yeah.
It sounds so good when you're good at it.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, it's a really cool instrument to be a master of. I know a couple of upright players. Do you know Tim Fernley? He's not a master player, but that guy's entertaining as shit.
I love Tim. I can say many things.
Tim's
about
one of
Tim.
my favorite dudes. I would play any gig with Tim. But if like, you want to talk a few minutes about your time at Atlanta.
Yeah, Atlanta was cool. I ended up going there. God, this is so dorky. I ended up going there because I heard Toast Mabasi from Animals as Leaders went there.
Yeah.
And then I saw also Josh Martin from Lil Tybee. Had gone there, and he was actually teaching there.
Wait, what?
He was teaching there while I went there.
Glitch tap, man. Glitch tap.
Dude, that guy is insane. I haven't gotten to see his band yet, but man, those guys are so good.
They're innovators.
And then a guy, a lot of people haven't heard of, Cameron Allen. He's a fusion cat. I always called him Walmart Guthrie Govan. Basically Guthrie Govan, but for half the price. That dude is amazing. Cameron Allen, I recommend checking him out. He's got a band called Eden Architect with my bass instructor out of Atlanta, Anthony East. But I went down there mainly because of the whole prog scene was really on fire when I was coming up in high school. I was in a bunch of death metal and prog bands through high school, so after going on tour with my prog band post high school, and then moving furniture for a year and finding myself really dead end, I just decided music school was going to be the best option for me. And so I applied to Atlanta on a whim. I knew that they had a 1-year certification program, and that was all I could afford, really. And honestly, I was to the point where I wanted the education. I didn't give a fuck if I had a bachelor's or not. So that was the option that worked best for me. They also have a job placement program after you graduate, which a lot of contemporary music schools don't fucking care about.
Yeah, not at all.
So that was really nice. Chris Pergale runs that. He hooked me up with a company called Lessons in Your Home when I got out here.
I worked for him for a little bit.
Scott, who runs all of that, he graduated from the bass program the year before me. And that's really how I ended up here. My metal band that I was touring with at the time, blah, blah, blah. You asked me about school. I'm about to give you my whole life story.
Please. Please. Give, all the background is welcome.
Anyway, Atlanta is great. Check out Atlanta, especially if you feel like you can't afford Berkeley. I tell so many of my students not to go to Berkeley, honestly, because it usually comes back to finances. I know a lot of people who went to Berkeley and graduated and then couldn't find a job and never got out of debt.
Well, I mean, my whole thing is really, in hindsight, which I didn't have this going in, is it's like, if you're going to go for a reason. Like, know why you're going before you go there. Because they've got a couple of specifically programs that are, like, world class and that will get you jobs. And it's like, if you want to, like, I don't know what you want to do before you get there, ideally.
Speaking of Berkeley, there's a video, like, at this point I know many people have watched it, of John Mayer giving a seminar at Berkeley. And one of the things he says is define your expectations. And I've always used that going forward, but I think that's really handy for music students, because there's so many that are just like, I guess I'll go to music school.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, that was me.
If you can lay out what you want, you'll get more from it. If you have certain things you're looking to get out of it, as opposed to just taking everything in, you know what I mean, and looking at everything. But
and he went there for
don't just go to music school because your parents want you to go to college.
Exactly. Like, have your ambition.
Be an electrician if your parents want you.
Too good for this world. What are you doing with this thing? But John Mayer Hewlin went there for a semester, right?
Something like that.
If
that's all you need, and you can get what you need in a semester, then leave.
Do it, yeah.
If
Seriously.
you feel like you've got what you need out of something, then there's no reason to stick around and wait for nothing.
Yeah.
Let's move on to, you went to UPS?
Yeah, I went to UPS.
United Postal Service.
United?
Hey, haven't heard that show before. My God. So, University of Puget Sound in Tacoma, Washington. I mean, sure, it's my alma mater and all that, but I mean, like, the music program is not nearly as eccentric or colorful as the institutions you two went to by any known margin known to the human race. I mean, it's just... Basically, it's a liberal arts school, right? Mm-hmm. And the only reason why I went there is because after I graduated high school, I knew I wanted to do music, but I remember telling my parents, like, saying, hey, I don't know if I want to go to college. I want to try and figure this out. And they were like, what? And then, you know, so my parents went on, like, top 40 colleges that changed lives when we found UPS. And I went there, and, I mean, you know, despite what we said, like, know what you're going to college for, all I knew is it was for music. I didn't know what for in specific, so like specifically I wanted to do it for. And I just went there and like, oh, this place is kind of cool. Awesome, right? And then, so I come in and basically the music program, we like to pride ourselves because we have like a conservatory style music program that's just this little fucking building in the middle of campus. And it's cool and all. It's just, you know, I wanted to go there to study like guitar performance, right? And the music office ladies, they're very kind and everything, but they laughed in my face when I said I want to do guitar performance because they said they don't have it. And I was like, wait, what? And then when I got in, that's how I met Ian. And he and I both auditioned. Ian Crocker.
Ian Crocker is a phenomenal
phenomenal player. Phenomenal player. Yeah. So basically, my whole, like, just fast forwarding what my story and everything. Basically, I auditioned for the jazz band. Did not get in whatsoever when I was a freshman. When I was a freshman, I sucked on my instrument because I didn't really know what knowing jazz entailed, and I didn't even want to play jazz at first. I just wanted to do blues and rock, but I've realized that that's not really accessible at college. Like the school will not provide that for you. If you're a rocker and you're a blues player and you don't have much knowledge in music theory and you don't have much knowledge in like music, and this goes for any music conservatory really, but like if you're going in and like you're saying, oh, like, you know, this like random little small band that I'm in, like I play a little bit but I think I could study music, you're gonna have to be like a little bit higher than that. And I was like that dude that would just like to sit in his room all day and like just jam with people, you know. So what did you? So you couldn't do guitar performance. What was your major? Just music BA. That's it, because that's all there was for guitar players. Yeah. I actually. So I'll get to that in a second. So so basically what happened is that luckily though, Dr. Hutchinson, Rob Hutchinson, he's the bass player for this band called Velocity, who is an amazing band that you should check out. Amazing fusion band. They're just super, super killer. Very, very great guys. I've played with two of their members. They play regularly with 322 sometimes. Peter Adams and the drummer's name, whom I totally forgot his name, so if he watches this, I'm sorry. But so Dr. Hutchinson, right, or Dr. Shred as we like to call him, he said, well, you didn't get into jazz band, we get it. Here's what you can do to immerse yourself. Rent, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not paying rent. And they're like, no, the musical. And I'm like, oh. And I was just like, oh, okay. So by far one of the most funnest musical experiences, despite my shortcomings with UPS, was playing Rent my freshman year. And that was a really cool time for me. I had a girlfriend who I loved. It was really, really fun. And I was playing music, and it was great. I mean, wasn't making a living, but it was really, really fun. And the first 2 years studying music there was great because the theory classes were amazing. Ear training, transcribing, sight singing, all that stuff. However, those kinds of theory courses that are very much involved and stuff like that, where they're teaching you voice leading, they're teaching you how to play piano, they're teaching you how to do that stuff, is gone by your junior year. Because then it's all music history. And there's... Really? Yeah. Then there's... what? Yeah, so there's no more practicing, really. Like, literally, like, you can go there, if you're a music student at UPS and you study, I'm sorry if this, like, paints a bad image on it, but if you're a music student at UPS, just go there for the 2 years to just get the theory courses, take, like, the basic theory courses all the way up to the advanced courses. And not even that, and the reason why is because then it gets all into post-tonal theory, because a lot of the professors there are very much advocates of, you know, post-tonal music and it, like, having an impact on this world. When I remember they threw, like, some kind of concert with it, and half the concert hall left because they couldn't take it.
This kind of comes back to the point of define your expectations.
Yeah, define your expectations, and can the institution provide that for you? The institution provided me with music classes, and they provided me with theory, and then junior and senior year, I just wanted to get the hell out because all it was just reading. And also, again, to what your professor said, like, are your schoolwork classes getting in the way of your practicing? Abso-fucking-lutely. It was horrible. It was horrible. I was listening to music that I didn't care about, and I was reading about composers I didn't care about. It was horrible. Like, I appreciated them, but I really didn't want to put emphasis on it. And then, of course, people say, well, why'd you stay? And the reason why is because Tracy Canote, who's the jazz instructor there, and he's a saxophonist, and he was my teacher. And he doesn't play guitar, not a lick of it. But he taught me proper ear training. He taught me how to transcribe. He taught me... he even like forced me to figure out chord melodies by myself. Like he unlocked abilities that I didn't realize I had thanks to him, right? Thanks to transcribing, arpeggiating through changes and stuff. And then that's when I went from that grungy kid going into jazz. And then like, you know, and I was kind of doing that because like I discovered Sean when I was like my senior year of high school, and I saw him live actually 5 years ago. And then I just went this black hole, a good black hole, of like listening to different kinds of music. And we had a lot of listening literature for our music history courses, but I didn't do a lick of that. What I was doing was just figuring out different artists I wanted to listen to and immerse myself in music that I wanted to listen to. And I took that to Seattle. So then my junior and senior year, I started hanging around UPS a lot less, and I started going to Seattle more, right? Just hanging out with people and like, you know, just kind of engaging with the community, which is not what the university teaches you. It's very much a boxed-in, bubble person, like kind of institution. There's only like 2,600 kids there. Like it's
a whole school.
Yeah, it's all. No, in the school.
It's a small.
Yeah, it's a small school.
It's a small neighborhood.
Exactly. And if you're telling me that they're not going to teach you how to properly network, which they don't, then what the heck is the point of doing it? So I stayed there only because of Tracy, and my grades weren't the best, but I got through it, and I was just miserable in my senior year. And then I picked up a teaching gig in Gig Harbor. I teach at All-Star Guitar now, and it's really fun, and I'm just making connections and doing what I wish I was... Like, what I'm doing now, I wish I did that, like, all through college. I wish that somehow I figured out whatever it was to make connections, whatever it was to practice, whatever it was to move forward in music, and I wish the university would... enforce that more rather than going across this like very archaic system of learning about like these old white composers, and the music just gets worse and worse. Like the further you go on music, like, it gets worse because you go to post-tonal music, and then like
you just give them a quick rundown of post-tonal music.
So basically, what post-tonal music is that it is a form of music where tonality and keys mean jack shit, essentially. Basically, from what I remember, I don't remember it. I remember I had a test on it, and I didn't do too well in it, but no one did, because they were like, "Who don't like this music?" And Hutch was just like, "Oh, I don't really know what to do." But anyway, so basically, it's 12-tone music, or dodecaphony, which means like 12 or whatever. Basically, it involves using all 12 notes of the equal-tempered, Western music system in a piece. And this creates sometimes some pretty interesting soundscapes, but for the most part, like if you listen to Arnold Schoenberg, and I appreciate what he does, basically this is how I define post-tonal music. If you have a dude that is playing these chromatic chords that really don't sound very good, and then he just got so fucking bored that while playing those chords, he took a metal bar and pounded the black keys in addition to that, that's kind of post-tonal music in a nutshell. It's like where you just...
For some reason, to be... out completely make no sense. You have to learn everything that comes before.
Yes,
you gotta learn
exactly.
all the rules.
Exactly.
Effectively.
Levels 1 through 10 are like learning new things, and then level 11 is post-tonal, and there's no sense to
exactly
it.
Right.
There's no rules.
Exactly right. Exactly right. And then, of course, obviously theory professors like voice leading, and then like no parallel fifths or whatever. And then you get to post-tonal music, and you're like, wait a minute, just
get it out here.
Just on. So that was very heartbreaking. And I definitely wasn't the happiest my junior and senior year at UPS. But honestly, like now that I'm out of it now, I mean, just communicating, doing stuff like this, like meeting like-minded guitar players, like meeting you guys. Honestly, like I really wish I found guys like that at UPS, because it was just me and Ian, and I could like. nerd out about jazz cats all day, but he was getting opportunities left and right, and I kind of had to like fend for myself. So
yeah, I did notice he kind of had his foot on the gas through school.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah,
he out of it, he was already getting.
Yeah, he already got recruited into groups by Tracy and stuff. Tracy really helped him out, and
granted, he's a fantastic
he's a fantastic player, yeah, but like and I love playing with him. Great guy too. Great cook too. Holy shit, he's a really good cook. But he's a man of culture. He is a very cultural man, and he's fluent in Spanish. He's great. He got
a girlfriend?
Not last I heard, but anyway. It's But he got a lot of those opportunities, and I didn't really know my place until like my junior year, which was basically getting as far away from UPS as possible and just immersing yourself in the community, like whether it's in Tacoma.
Going to shows will do so much for you. Just going to shows and shaking people's hands.
It's that simple. It really is that simple.
It can be that simple. Sometimes it takes a lot of doing that,
yes.
But at the end of the day, that's the best way to go about making a career. Is
exactly.
Just meet everybody. I wanted to kind of move on from the school thing, though.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk a little bit about where guitar is going. And what you guys' thoughts are on these modern guitar players and these modern guitars, such as like these extended range and the fan fret thing, people playing 8 strings and all that.
Do you have one?
Let's just flex that real quick.
Oh no! I swear to God, if that's equal tempered frets, I'm about to shit myself.
It's put together with tinfoil.
It is put together with tinfoil. Everybody, ladies and gentlemen, this is a homemade ground circuit.
This is how we fix our ground hum here.
If you have ground hum,
I have been having this problem, so
literally.
Don't do this at home.
Put over your forearm rest.
Oh my God!
You're good to go.
So talking about it, it obviously offers a lot more possibilities. I think it requires a bit more technique, personally. It definitely takes a lot more technique to play.
It's just a completely different instrument to me.
I 100% agree with you.
Yeah,
like
everything
like
I would play on that Charvel, I would never ever play on this instrument ever.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about the 8-string guitar, in my opinion, is the opportunity to do bass lines and chords at the same time, going like the Charlie Hunter route with it.
Charlie Hunter is crazy.
Man.
Charlie Hunter,
the fucking man.
and he was doing that kind of stuff before anybody else was.
Yes,
doing it.
exactly.
And
He's OG.
he really, and his groove, man, his pocket.
I know. I saw Garage at Trois when they were at.
Oh, really?
Honestly, what I like to do is just watch transcription videos of his, and then you literally see like the bass lines and like the melodic lines moving independently.
Yeah.
Which is like, obviously.
I have to remind myself.
He plays hybrid guitars, but he just makes it so effortless and listenable. It's so listenable that it blows my mind how he can take such kind of a strange instrument and just make it work so functionally.
It's so true.
All situations.
It's crazy.
Have you guys played much on extended guitars?
Actually, the most recent I did was today. Actually, when I was recording some new original music, I'm trying to release under my own name. So, recently, my buddy Manuel on my band 48, he lended me his 8-string guitar, and I've been getting back into it. I love 8-string personally. And I mainly fell in love with it when I saw Tosin Abasi doing the whole thumping thing, right?
Yeah,
Woven Web. Oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Playing it on the 6-string.
Yep, it's all that upstroke.
It's all that upstroke, right? It's just go.
Which was such an innovative thing that you would think maybe someone would have done and really brought to the forefront.
There you go.
Yeah. Basically, so it's and I thought that was really cool. And what I would like to do, because I'm not traditionally a metal guy, but I'm starting to get back into metal since middle school. But I just love. The amount, I don't know if you guys know a dude named Jose Macario.
From Mexico.
From Mexico. I wrote a tune that was kind of similar to his tune Taco Groove, because he's a solo. He's a solo 9-string player, and he's doing slap bass while doing melodies at the same time. And you can do stuff like. Right, you can do stuff like that. Yeah. But he was just doing that so effortlessly, and the fact, the potential that 8-string has to become a total groove machine is amazing. Mm-hmm. And also, if you listen to a lot of Animals as Leaders, you have your regular chords, but you have 2 more notes to them, right? So that being said, whether you have distortion, you can create some very interesting soundscapes with it. But also going back to what you were saying, like I wouldn't play like the stuff on my Sherville that I would in the 8-string. I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you know, I try my normal shredder techniques and stuff, and it's like, oh no, I have to force my right hand to work harder.
Yeah, there's something about
string spacing,
The string
forward.
spacing, yeah.
It's all about how it falls into your hand.
It's
you know?
true.
And a 6-string falls in your hand a certain way, and an 8-string falls in your hand a different way, and it's going to change how you play.
I will say
Obviously, the neck's wider, but you think differently too.
about extended guitars, I feel like a lot of people in the metal scene are playing extended range guitars to get a heavier sound nowadays.
Yeah.
And that is just so absolutely
It's
unnecessary.
true, it
Heavy
really
is
is.
not a tuning. It's
Yeah.
a state of mind.
It's a state of mind.
I mean, you can make a standard tuning sound heavy as fuck, or even regular old drop D.
Yeah,
but
seriously, it is heavy.
yeah.
Drop D, you can make
It's all about how you play it. Work on your downstrokes, ladies and gentlemen.
Dylan, did you have much experience with these new guitars that have kind of made their way onto the scene, like any of the Tosin stuff?
Man, no, I haven't played any of Tosin's new stuff.
I don't know if anybody has, man.
He has. He was
Yeah, I did. Yes. I mean, just I'll let you finish and everything, but just short aside from it, literally, like, I think in this time, 8-strings, you know, when they first came on the scene, they're like, how do we build these perfectly?
Oh, for sure. It's just Ibanez with the 2228.
Tosin figured it out.
Yeah.
He unlocked whatever secret it is to making it perfect, because when you play a guitar that feels like a bass and a guitar at the same time, you just feel so powerful with it. Granted, like I sounded like shit with it because I didn't know what to do.
You don't know how to play. It's a different instrument.
Yeah, and Tosin's like 5 feet away from me, and you're like, no, I don't know what to do.
Going nuts.
So, but anyway, yeah, sorry, you were saying.
No, man. So I honestly haven't really messed around with them too much. I'll tell you, the last time I played a 7-string, I was going down to go see my friends. This band called the Irie Lights, which later. It's the same rhythm section from Martial Law Band. So Martial Law Band, that rhythm section has played together since we were teenagers. For a dozen different artists, right?
Yeah.
So at the time, it was this band called Irie Lights, a reggae group. Dance hall reggae, and so it was the same cats, right? And I've known all them forever. It was casual, casual restaurant gig, right? And so I go down there. So they were playing Ohana's on like First and
Ohana's, I love that place.
On First
love
Ave,
that place.
Belltown.
Great people over there.
And anyway, so Josh Richens. This is when Josh Richens pretty much only played 7-strings. He was pretty much exclusively a shred guy and did nothing but sweep pick over every solo. He's toned it back a lot.
Shout out Josh Richens, shout out Martial Law Band. Woo! Big Pete! Anyway.
But anyway, so Josh is like, get up here, come sit in on a tune. I'm like, all right, yeah, sure. Not realizing he was playing a 7-string, and I get up there, and I get the thing in my hands, and it's literally as if all of the muscle memory I've spent all these years developing
I feel that.
out the window.
And it's only one more string.
Right? That was my thinking. As soon as we were about to start the song, I'm like, it's just one more string. I mean, I'm not even going to use that string. Nope. All my muscle memory gone out the window.
Yeah.
And personally, my whole thing with the extended range stuff is it's cool, and there's lots of people that do cool stuff with it. But one thing that's kind of been constant for me is I am almost stubborn to a fault with the way that I play. It's the same way, because like for me, it's like I'm kind of like the slide dude.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of like one of my things.
I will say you are a
fucking
killer.
Yeah, you're.
So I refuse.
Sultry tongue.
I refuse to learn open E.
So you play everything in standard?
I play everything in standard because I am stubborn as fuck and I'm lazy and I don't want to relearn the fretboard. And so so it's kind of for me the same way with the extended range stuff, because I play a lot of solo gigs too, like restaurant gigs, lounge gigs, and for me I almost like trying to work within the limitations of what you're dealing with and finding creative ways to get around that. Because like for example, like arguably I think of like the people that I look up to the most as far as like solo guitarists, and for me it's not Lenny Brew and it's not George Van Epps, the guys that were playing extended range guitars back before anybody was doing
it's
it,
true,
right?
yeah.
For me it's Ted Green,
Yep.
Joe Pass,
Yes.
you know, all these guys that sound like an orchestra, on, playing six strings, and same with a lot of classical players that I really look up to.
Yeah.
And so for me, that's just kind of, it's not like it's necessarily like I'm like anti-extended range, but the way my brain works and the way I am as a player, not even with the extended range stuff, I love working within a somewhat like limited framework and going through that process of struggling to figure something out that's maybe not the most intuitive way to do it. Yeah. Part of that is because I'm stubborn, but
that'll also help develop a style, though. That'll help.
Well, that's kind
style.
of what I hope at some point.
I think you have to my ear, because I've heard you play a million times now. I know your style when you play for sure, and I think that might be something to do with it. You put a little box on yourself and you work within it, and then you throw the box out and you put a new box down and you get inside that. And
I'm sure if I actually sat down and spent a week trying to play slide and open E, I'd be like, oh my God, why haven't I been doing this for years? This is so much easier.
Yeah.
But again, it's, I don't know. Maybe one day I'll be old and mature enough and grow out of my issues or whatever, but that's where I'm at right now. And that's where I'm at with extended range stuff and even alternate tunings or whatever, It's
just being like Covet and like, oh my God.
So we don't have too much more time here, but I did want to ask you guys, there's a lot of people who don't quite know. We say go out and network and go to shows, but like, what are the venues that you guys love going to, that you see great shows at regularly that maybe people don't love? People don't know. Like people are like, oh, music venues, the Paramount Theater and this and that, and they can't go to these places and network. And some of these smaller clubs that you can go to. I was just wondering if you guys could share about that. You want to start?
Oh Jesus, yeah, I'll start because I'm not gonna have too many since I'm kind of new in town.
Definitely.
Oh man, of course the Nectar Lounge. Biggest up to the Nectar Lounge. That was the first jam I found when I got
He's hosting on this coming Monday, so come on out.
That's how I met you.
That's how most of us.
That's literally how everyone here met.
Gotta go with them. I went to the Cap Cider Jam and saw U2 kind of recently. That was my first time out there. I really liked that.
That's a really good jam.
It's crazy.
That place was super sick.
So Capital Cider,
Sea Monster Jam,
Sea Monster Lounge.
Daryl's up in Shoreline. Yeah, Daryl's
Tavern, great spot.
Yeah,
great spot.
I like a dive.
Yeah. What about you? What are some of the... You're down in Tacoma, Anand.
Oh, yeah. So I'm in Tacoma, but literally most of the jam sessions I go to in Seattle. But in Tacoma, I will say the Dawson's Bar and Grill, that jam session is actually really
It's a low-key good spot to go.
It's a low-key good spot to go. And if you've been practicing your blues chops, you will feel right at home.
Yeah.
I haven't gone in a fat minute, though, because it happens the same time as the Capital Cider Jam session. There's one time when I first went there.
It's hard to pick now.
Yeah, it's hard to pick. I mean, the gas bill kind of sucks, but it really is worth it because Seattle's just so much more of a diverse city, in my opinion. And there's stuff like that. But also, recently, this isn't necessarily a regular thing, but we're hoping to make it regular. Nathan Breedlove, it was this past Sunday. He hosted a jazz jam session at Johnny Doc's Bar and Grill, and there have actually been a few jam sessions hosted there, mainly of the jazz genre. But
is that down 6th Ave?
No. Johnny Doc's is like, it's like off of Dock Street, nearby to Rustin Wainwright.
Yeah.
And actually, shout out to Brandon Lee Searley. I played a gig with him where he hosted a jam session, and we're trying to. We're trying to like put more. We're trying to find the hub spot in Tacoma where it's like that's the place to go to, right? Whereas Seattle has.
I really hope that the Spanish Ballroom can kind of open its doors.
Exactly.
Because the scene is so vibrant and everybody loves Spanish Ballroom that they would all come if they had.
It's true.
Something like that.
It is very true.
So if you're listening from McMinimans,
yes.
We need a jam session in there. If you need to talk to somebody, call me. Call this guy. Call this guy. Who's a monster.
Yeah.
There needs to be something down there.
Between the two of us, probably between the three of us,
probably know everybody.
We probably know all the staff there. Well, you work there, so
I did work there.
And I know the code to the state, so I can go there anytime I want. So.
Do they not change it?
I mean,
They don't change it.
if they watch this, they'll probably be like, shit! And then, so.
Nah, only people who are responsible know the code.
It's true, yeah.
Dylan, what about you? What are some low-key hangs around Seattle area?
Yeah, man. I mean, you guys already kind of mentioned a lot of their good jam sessions, but you know, it's funny as far as like going out to shows and networking, which is just as important in my opinion.
Yeah.
If not more.
You know, Sea Monster, like we already talked about, has a jam. Right now it's on Thursdays. They usually have a jam of some kind. But honestly, Sea Monster is one of those clubs where that's where you're going to consistently find any of the music going on in town that's kind of pushing the envelope.
Yes, yeah.
In some way or another, musically.
Exactly, yeah.
That's kind of the place to be. And any night of the week.
Yeah.
Sea Monster Lounge.
Sea Monster Lounge, really cool spot.
Connor Byrne, local favorite.
Yeah, Connor Byrne is one that doesn't get as much love as I think it should.
So Connor Byrne has kickstarted the careers of a lot of local people. Their open mic's incredible, but they have they're one of those clubs that's the vibe is really good. It's kind of a tight knit community. It's the same kind of cats that hang there all the time, and consistently have good bands in there. And you can really, it's again, the vibe is small enough and low key enough you can really get to know a lot of people just by hanging around.
Yeah.
And it's a consistent enough crowd that you can do so. Nectar's the same way, although again, outside of the jam at Nectar, it's a little on the larger side, so you might not necessarily and it's
medium,
and it's not like necessarily like a mostly musician crowd either. So,
It's a lot of touring bands with a lot of fans coming in.
Exactly.
And I would say most shows are touring bands that are coming through there.
They got like a 500 person cap in there.
It might even be less, but
Yeah,
it's
if they open up the upstairs, they probably get that many.
Yeah, I guess with the full upstairs. Would be good.
This is why it's so hard for like local groups to fill that spot.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know, so as far as, well, and if you're into jazz and stuff, if you're into like jazz and stuff specifically too, of course, there's the Capitol Cider is always great.
Yeah.
We already talked about that.
And then this one.
Well, the Owl.
Yeah.
So I like to go to the Owl. I don't bring my axe.
Yeah, it's I'm
scary. The Owl is scary.
I played there before.
I know those chaps.
I played there before, but I mean, like, no one shames you there, but like, the first thing you'll notice is that when they call out tunes, like, you know, what a lot of people like to do is they like to look for a stand and put their phone for iRealty.
Nope. There
will be no stands for you. Okay, so if they call a tune, you better know it or get out.
Very few times do they play tempos under 250.
It's true.
I get sweating just thinking.
They call a tune and they count it in twice as fast.
Yeah, exactly. Like 1, 2, 1. Those are half notes. It's like, oh no.
I gotta give props though to Angry Beaver though.
Yeah,
because that's one of the coolest, weirdest joints in town. It's a hockey bar / jazz club. Wow,
Makes perfect sense.
The associations are.
I mean, and again, so my buddy Max Holmberg has run the jam on Sunday nights there forever, and it's awesome. It's accessible, but like high quality.
Yeah.
But even beyond the jam, I mean, again, it's one of those places where it's good to just go out to shows because it's the same kind of crew that hangs around there.
Yeah.
There's cool spots in Seattle for that thing where there's people. There's definitely groups that stick to kind of. I mean, obviously you see people around town, but there's people that are consistently at little spots.
Well, and trying to just go to jams versus going to shows as well is kind of two different forms of the same thing.
I've honestly gotten way more gigs just going to shows than jams.
Yeah. I would argue similar.
Yeah.
No, I would argue similar as well. I mean, I'm not in the Seattle standpoint, but from the Tacoma standpoint. But there's a bunch of people like sometimes they'll either ask me on to play, or I'll just be like, hey, like here's my card, and then they'll just like, yo, I looked at your stuff, this is great, and then like they'll call you for shows and stuff. Yeah, I think that's the proper way of networking. Jam sessions, like you kind of, a lot of people, sometimes I feel like some people can look at people and just be like, oh yeah, you definitely gig a lot and stuff, you know, or whatever. Like there's just that kind of mentality where it's a musician's hang, literally, right? People hang out and play music. That's what a jam session is.
Yeah.
So
jams are a good time.
Yeah.
It's so relaxed.
One venue I forgot to plug. Highline. That's the only metal venue I've found besides
Really?
Elko.
Besides Elko, does Elko?
If anybody knows where to find metal music or local hardcore shows,
Go in the comments and that way you also.
I want to
'cause-
throw elbows in the pit, please.
Exactly. I want to get to that level.
Yeah, I gotta make
there's good metal shows
one
in
more.
Showbox, but anything smaller than that,
Showbox too.
anything smaller
Yeah.
than that, it's kind of hard to find the good metal venues.
Highland's where it's at.
We're coming up here. We've spent a good deal of time talking. I had a couple last little things. I wanted to ask you guys all a question. It's a quick question. Hopefully, you guys all have an answer for this question. And if you could have one instrument, name, brand, and model, what it would be. So, Dylan, I'll start with you because you have some cool shit.
That's unfair. I've got mine.
I'm going to start with you.
That's the problem. I've got mine.
I want to tell everybody about your piece that's your guitar that you love the most.
Well,
You can't pick.
I can't know because I've always been I've got this weird thing with specifically late 60s Gibsons, like 65 through 69. And so last year I kind of had a really good year out of nowhere, and now I have 3.
Not a big deal.
Oops.
And they're awesome. And that's
So you've got,
sold
you got the
I've
345.
I've got a 67 ES345. I've got a 69 SG Standard. And a 60. My newest one is a 64 Melody Maker that's been converted into a Les Paul Jr.
It's so good.
You wheel
which
and
is
deal on
so
all your
good.
stuff, right?
Well,
You
yeah, I
got
mean,
all that
at
stuff
this
for a good price.
Oh, I got so lucky, but I pretty much have gotten rid of all my other guitars because those are the guitars I've always wanted to own, and now I kind of own them. So
There you go.
I'm square. I mean, there's obviously more that I want. But those are like those
got
are
your
like
pieces for
those were the dream pieces. Those are the guitars I always wanted as a kid. So.
Luke, what if you could pick one piece
I mean,
of kit?
for basses, I want a fretless bongo eventually. It'd be cool if I could get them to make me the same one, but maybe with like an ebony fretless fingerboard. That'd be sick. But best guitars I've ever played are, it comes back to Tosin Man. One of the guys that went to Atlanta with me same year, Gabriel Levi. He is endorsed by Rick Toon Guitars. He let me try a couple of their models, and they're the best fucking guitars I've ever played in my entire
really high-end guitars.
They're really, really expensive. I would say it sounds 5% better than any other guitar for probably 400% the price.
If the
I'd
tone
probably
is
never
there,
own one.
if the tone is there and the feel is there, and the playability is there, you're gonna play 5% better.
It's
you know
true.
what I mean? You will.
It's like
I don't know for $20,000 man. I'd rather have a car.
But if that comes back to like vintage Strats and stuff like that. That comes back to vintage Strats and stuff like that because there's just this thing that they have that you're not going to get without.
Well, I'm obviously one to talk.
Yeah, shut up, vintage man.
But yeah, the Rick Toon stuff is absolutely impeccable. If you have the money or if you need the ergonomics like that, absolutely check them out. They're incredible.
Nan, what about you? One piece of kit.
One piece of kit. Well, I mean, if you asked me this and I didn't go to NAMM, this would be a very hard question. I know that I have a Tele with me right now, but I'm not a Tele player by choice. This is what my grandpa gave me 8 years ago, and I've just always been playing on it. But I mean, I'm really trying to stretch into the fusion joint, and so while y'all were talking, I was thinking about my time at NAMM, and probably. So the 3 booths that I went to the most were the Abasi booth, the Kiesel booth, and the Strandberg booth. But I'm gonna put it down to. Just because I'm not a good extended range player, even though I want to be, I'll get there eventually, but I'm not good there. The Abasi guitars are out, unfortunately, even though they're decent guitars. But probably for me, there's just one. Like, I love the guitars of Strandberg. I know some people might think they
classic.
Yeah. Some people might think they look weird and stuff. I played a couple. Like there's Gerson.
They do look weird. Gerson McCann.
Yeah, Gerson McCann. He's the guy. He's
great guy.
He's
great dude.
Great dude. Great
sick player.
Amazing dude. Great player. And he's got like so many Strandbergs, and he's let me try them out. And then I tried out the ones at NAMM. And there's this one particular one, and I believe it was a new model for 2020. And I was searching for my phone, being like, oh, I gotta look this model up. Of course, we're using my phone to record it. So basically, what I remember from it was that it had this kind of like lush green coloring to it. had equal tempered frets, which I used to think were ugly, but honestly, like after playing some and then looking at it, I definitely like completely reversed my.
I haven't gotten.
But yeah, they're pretty awesome because like it's not different. It really isn't different. It's just it literally forces your hands to be in the correct place, so you have tuning stability regardless of where you're on the neck, right? Because guitars are never like in tune technically until you get equal tempered frets. But yeah, it was this particular Strandberg. It had like this lush yellow model, and pretty much anything by Strandberg I like, but I remember I spent a good solid hour just playing that guitar in the NAMM, like, you know, convention center. And I mean,
Which is a horrible place to play guitar.
yeah, exactly.
But if you love it,
Arguably the worst.
And look at this way, you had 10 to 6 p.m. for 4 days. You better like see as much as you can get. And obviously, like I looked at the time and I was like, oh my god, but Strandberg, man, like they really have some really cool stuff. And also, like, I have to give a shout out to Kiesel, because their playability and fluidity is just so good for like fusion players, jazz players, anything like that. But Strandberg is just really where it's at. Also, my favorite guitarist, Pliny, my favorite guitarist and composer, just favorite musician in general, he plays Strandberg. So because of that, I was like, wow, I really want a Strandberg. So
yeah. I want to thank you guys. If you guys could give yourselves a little plug for any upcoming gigs. I know Dylan's actually going to be hosting Mojam, which we've talked about. He'll be there on Monday. What else you got coming up, Dylan, in the next little bit here?
Just gearing up to for road season. Yeah, road work for me starts in March, and I'll be out of town most of the rest of the year doing South by for the first time this year.
Oh hell yeah! Dude.
Which I'm stoked about.
Nice. That's crazy.
I'm gonna be out there. Yeah.
Is that with Dylan?
No, well, potentially. So I'll be out. I'm out there. I'll be playing with Miller Campbell, Ian Jones, Dylan Jacobson. Yes. And then trying to also get I've got some friends out kind of in the Panhandle that I'm trying to get some work with, and then a couple producer friends in Austin that I'm trying to see if I can get some work with too. Basically, I'm going to be out there all week, and so I'm trying to just pick up as much as I can.
Dylan's a big road dog. He's always on the road. What gigs you got coming up, Anand?
Actually tomorrow and the day after. So tomorrow being Valentine's Day, Happy Single Awareness Day, and so we have tomorrow, and then we have Saturday. So tomorrow I'm playing with my dance band Candy Shop, and consists of like ABBA, Motown, anything from the 80s music.
That's a good Valentine's gig.
It's a good Valentine's gig, yes. And we're playing at Dawson's Bar and Grill. I believe our set starts at 7, so if you're down there in the South Tacoma way, you're going to want to go to Dawson's because it's going to be lit. And then Saturday, 322 is hitting up Doyle's. Doyle's Pub. Doyle's, they have amazing Guinness there. And I mean, they have Guinness.
Real Guinness?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a real Guinness.
Whoa.
You know that a restaurant is a real Guinness because they have Guinness plastered on 17 different parts of the restaurant, which they do have. But yeah, we're playing there from 9 to 12. Come on out. It's a really cool time. It's a very interactive show because, like, you know, there's no stage. We're just kind of in the middle of everything. It's going to be really cool. And, yeah, those are the immediate shows that we have this week. March, speaking of the Sea Monster, March 25th, if I'm not mistaken, 48 Degrees is playing their first show at the Sea Monster Lounge. So that'll be really fun to finally play there. And, yeah, so, but if you're in Tacoma this weekend and you got nothing to do and you just want to have some fun on Valentine's Day that doesn't involve a significant other, or does, why don't you come on out and dance with some music?
Good date spot.
Good date spot, damn right.
You got any upcoming live stuff?
I'm not playing nowhere with nobody. Took the winter off to mainly work on the metal stuff. We're getting into production of that right now. Hopefully have writing and production taken care of. I'm hoping 3 months. I don't know. We're gonna have a meeting.
I know between you and Ilya, and those are the two I know in this group, that is gonna be.
You know Josh.
You know Josh.
Same guy.
Oh, Josh Hoffman.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Shout out Josh. Love you, dude. That's gonna be killer.
Yeah, dude, I'm so stoked on that. If you want to follow me for updates on that, you can spell my name Luke, Luke, Boismier, Boismier. I think I'm the only person named that, so it's not too hard to find me if you spell it
I
right.
thought I was the only person named Anand, but apparently if you go to India, there's like
Yeah.
50 million or something.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Got a student named Anand.
All right. I want to thank these guys for hanging out. My name's Jack Speer. It's been BTV. This is the Guitar Players episode.
Woo woo!
See you guys next time.
Cheers.